word everyone loves to throw around, which is inflation. Well, it's become the go-to reason for why everything costs so much more. But if that was the whole story, then why are so many of the companies making and selling these products reporting record-breaking profits? Well, that's a question they hope you won't ask. Is inflation the full story? Or is it a convenient cover story for something else? In tonight's show, we're going to expose the real reason grocery costs so much. And this isn't just a boring economic lecture, it's a story of corporate greed, psychological tricks, and hidden strategies designed to pull more money from your pocket without you even noticing. And it's a story they'd rather you not hear. So we're going to peel back the labels and we're going to show you exactly what's going on. And we're going to be uh he asked such a dumb question. So I find it uh simplistic that someone comes in and provides the same troll question from 30 years ago. I appreciate you. Special shout out to Red Square because he came in seeking attention. You got your attention. Uh, but that's not what we're talking about today. So, your 15 seconds of fame, Red Square. Um, so, after we start giving you guys the full rundown of what's really going on, you'll be able to understand the game and you'll be able to take the first steps in working on how you stop losing this game. So let's start with what we all know and feel. Prices are high. They are stubbornly, painfully high, and they aren't coming back down. That's never going to happen. That's the most brutal truth to accept. So the period of rapid inflation we all lived through has effectively reset the entire system. Between early 2020 and the end of 2023, the price of groceries, the food you buy and eat at home, skyrocketed by over 25%. And that's not a temporary spike. It is a new, much higher baseline. And while the rate of increase has slowed, the prices themselves have locked in at this painful new level. So, to put it into perspective, let's look at the recent numbers. The overall consumer price index, which is the big picture measure of inflation, rose 2.7% from December of 24 to December of 25. But food prices climbed even faster, raising 3.1% over that same year. Now, let's break that down because where you eat makes a big difference. The price of food away from home, think restaurants and takeout, jumped by 4.1%. But even the food you buy at the grocery store, what expert called food at home, still got a 2.4%, much more expensive. This trend isn't stopping, though it is changing shape. The U.S. Department of Agriculture predicts that overall food prices will increase another 3% in 2026. But here's the interesting part. They expect grocery store prices to raise more slowly at about 1.7%, while restaurant prices are forecast to jump by a whopping 4.6%, which ultimately means that you're going to be going out to eat more than you stay at home. And that's going to tell us two things. First, the pressure on your wallet isn't going away. And second, the forces driving these increases are complex. Now, we also understand, y'all, that with 4.6% rise in eating out, we understand that a lot of that's going to come from socialization, because we went from uh, COVID, everybody stay in the house, to now everybody can get out of the house. Dating, trying to find a mate. We're out, at least the guys are out paying a bunch of money to find that special somebody. And we find ourselves in a position where uh, the people that we are going out and dating are being allowed to choose, no limit to the quantity of stuff that they're buying, so that we can entertain them. I have a personal objection to that, but that's for another show. However, if you think about 4.6% increase, for those of you that actually go out and date on a regular basis, you guys are eating out, restaurants, this, that, and third. Think about how much money you spend per month on dating, on eating out, on hanging out with the broskies, and then add 4% to that. So if you're spending $200 a night every weekend, you're spending $300. You're looking at 4.6% increase on that. You might be getting closer to $310 or $320. Not that much, but if that's per month, you went from $3,000 on, oh, well, for 10 months it'd be like $3,000, but let's say that you're looking at about $3,600 a month, getting an increase of almost an extra $50 to $100 a year. And you think to yourself, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. Well, that's just your food. That's not your alcohol. That's not your cigarettes. That's not your weed. That's not your rolling papers. That's not your tobacco products. That's not your ammunition for your NRA guys. That's just your food. So, special shout out to Battle Zone. I appreciate you coming through. So that is another dynamic that nobody really thinks about, where not a lot of people are spending a lot of time at the house. So when I told you, look at that 1.7% increase over the next 12 months, and when I give you first date, make a meal at the house so that y'all got leftovers that'll last y'all for a few days, y'all might spend $100 on dinner for tonight, pack up what y'all don't eat into Tupperware, and y'all can have that same dinner 3 or 4 more nights out of the week. Where $100 might get you 7 meals. Y'all didn't think about that till I brought it up, right? So what is the official story that we're being told as it pertains to this price hike? Well, we're hearing a lot about the lingering effects of the pandemic and how it totally disrupted the global supply chain, creating massive bottlenecks. And when it creates massive bottleneck, what happens is that the demand is restricted in certain areas, and while the supply is restricted in certain areas, and the demand is consistent in all areas. And when the supply is restricted in certain areas, that increases the price. That's what bottlenecking is going to do, because everybody needs it or wants it at least, but not a lot of people can get to it, and that actually creates something different. Oh, thank you. That's a lot more appropriate than the other person asking about the Matrix. He says, yes, sir, you look very handsome. I really appreciate you. Special shout out to Power Grasp. So we've got Power Grasp, we have Battle Zone, and we have Steve. Steve watches videos. I just realized for so long. And then special shout out for Steven from Twitter. So, and Danny Steffen or Red Void from Twitch, and Michael, who's lingering. I see you, Michael, just popped in. So we're told about that global event, like the war in Ukraine, which sent the prices of essential commodities like grain and cooking oil soaring. I buy cooking oil by the gallon. So I will have 5 or 7 gallons of cooking oil on the shelf. But I mean, I'm not using cooking oil as much because I still got the margarine in the fridge. And I thought I was going to be cooking once a week. No, once or twice a month. Still eat at the house, but a lot of the stuff is microwavable because I don't have a lot of free time. So while that cooking oil is going to hit, it's not going to hit me as much as somebody who deep fries and stir fries on a regular basis. Now, we're also going to hear things about domestic crises like outbreaks of avian flu that devastated poultry farms and sent egg prices into the stratosphere, or droughts that shrunk cattle herds, making beef dramatically more expensive. We hear these things on the news and we accept it. Then there are the rising costs of doing business. That's always going to happen. Labor shortages have led to higher wages. A good thing for workers, but the companies are quick to tell you that those costs get passed on to the customer. Higher fuel and energy prices make it more expensive to run farms, operate plants, and transport food across the country. Even though they just conquered Venezuela, doesn't change the fact that the cost of doing business is going to continue to skyrocket. It's not going to go backwards. We're not going to see paying less. It's just those individuals are going to get more profit. So these things do happen, and they're going to continue to happen, and they will contribute to the prices that we see. They form the basis of the stagflation narrative. It's a neat explanation that places the blame on massive impersonal forces far beyond any single company's control. And we don't ask any questions. But does that really explain it all? Does it explain that gut feeling you have when you hold a lighter box of crackers that cost you 50 cents more than it did last year? Does it explain why during the exact period of unprecedented challenges, so many of the largest food producers and grocery chains were not just surviving, but thriving? If everyone was struggling, why did their financial reports read like they just won the lottery? Yes, sir. Oh, it gets better than that. A lot of people are learning about shrinkflation, but there's also greedflation too. And we're going to be getting into that today. We're going to be getting into shrinkflation. And I might restate it a second time, but for those of you that don't understand what shrinkflation is that they will give you a food product at a certain portion. You get used to the product at the certain price. Then what they do is they shrink the product at that price. You accept the product size at that price. They will offer you a family size portion, same product, where it goes back to the way it used to be, but they're going to charge you a larger price for it. You're going to start buying the family size one with the larger portion, and then you're going to get used to that. Then that's going to become the standard value, right? And it's going to be the standard price. So now you're all of a sudden paying for what you used to pay for 15 years ago. You're paying $3 more for it because they first shrink the product at the current price, then raise the price to give you a larger portion of the same product. Then they shrink it again at the current price, and that's going to be your shrinkflation situation. Yeah, that's right, Stephen. Greedflation and shrinkflation. And greedflation, we're going to give you a better definition of it. But we all experience greedflation, where you either want more money for something or you need more money for something, and you just start charging more money for it. But there's an area of greedflation is that they will shrink the quantity of items, or put caps on certain items and say, well, you got to buy certain quantities of items in order to get a cheaper price of it, which forces you to buy more. You're going to spend more money on greed, or pay more money because of greed. Well, I said that twice. Spending more money on greed, or charge more money for greed for the same quantity of product. So, but we're going to get more into that throughout the show. And the gap that the official story shares in this whole dynamic, hardship and uh, strife, where the private reality that actually happens of the immense corporate profit is where the real story actually is going to start beginning. So that while they tell you that we're all on hard times, they're not on hard times. When chaos happens, there's this term that I've been teaching a lot of my students is profit off of chaos, profit off of catastrophe. So when hard times happen, somebody's making bank off of that shit. Okay, we just got to understand that. So let's talk about the word that CEOs hate, which is, as Stephen brought it up, greedflation. It is a simple term for a simple idea where companies using the cover of widespread inflation, this is a third comparison as opposed to what I just talked about, where that widespread inflation rises prices far beyond what's needed to cover their own cost increases. They use that story to help pad their profit margins at your expense. That's poor people are a commodity. That's right. It takes a 5% increase in cost and using it to justify a 15% price hike. That's what they're doing. Right? I told you, greed, where they charge more money unnecessarily for the same product in order to get a more profit. Right? But they're going to blame it on inflation. All of it's going to be blamed on inflation. It's not just a theory that we have, it's actually data. One of the more revealing analysis comes from the Economic Policy Institute. They broke down what was driving prices in corporate sectors. Historically, from 1979 to 2019, corporate profit accounted for just over 11% of price growth, while labor costs were the biggest drivers. You think that's fair? Now look at the period from 2020 to 2021. Right in the heart of inflation spike, in that period, fatter corporate profit margins accounted for a staggering 53.9% of price increases. Let me say that again. Over half of the inflation we experienced was not from rising material costs or higher wages, but from companies expanding their profits. The story continued even as supply chains began to sort themselves out. A report from the Groundwork Collaborative found that from April to September of 2023, corporate profits drove 53% of inflation. During that time, the input cost for producers actually rose by a mere 1%, but the price they charged everybody else went up 3.4%. So you paid 3.4% price increase on their 1% cost increase. Where did the rest of the money go? It went straight into corporate coffers. So while these profit spikes have leveled off from their peak, they were crucial in establishing the higher prices we're still paying today. So how did they get away with this? It was a masterclass in opportunism, the ultimate opportunist, the edge of business, right? Because the pandemic created the perfect storm. For the first time in decades, everyone was talking about inflation. It creates an economist statement identified as an environment of plausible deniability, a universal excuse. You can actually see this in their own words if you read the transcripts of their quarterly earnings, where you watch the calls, right? They report this to the investors. So if you're investing in some of these companies, you read these reports. You'll hear CEOs and CFOs bragging about their newfound pricing power. Newfound pricing power. That's the term they use, where they boast about their ability to pass costs and then some to consumers who just accept it because everyone knows prices are going up everywhere. One CEO of a major food company was quoted as saying, "We have not seen a consumer reaction from a volume perspective to the pricing we've taken." Remember, I told y'all before that y'all money talk more than y'all mouths. Y'all be out there protesting shit all day long, setting stuff on fire, throwing bricks at ice vehicles and shit. But really what y'all should be doing is taking your money away from the shit that costs too damn much. When it starts costing too much, society should say, as much as I want that, I'm not buying that because it's priced too high. Until it is back priced at what I used to pay for it, I won't price that. Oh, you'll protest Target because some celebrity said something on TV, and you'll protest Walmart because of a racial comment from an executive board member of the company. But you won't protest the prices, the Doritos and the ice cream. You know what I'm saying? You won't protest the Arizona tea that's being overpriced. It says 99 cents on the can and they got it on the shelf for $1.29. You don't protest that. Steven says if you let it sit on the shelf like I do, it would stop. That's the truth. That's the truth. You know, we had that mass warning about the snowstorm, the inclement weather that was supposed to be coming through. Walmart shelves were empty. Every time there's a natural disaster that's reported on the news, everybody rush out there and they buy a bunch of stuff that would not survive a power outage. And I asked myself, why would you, knowing that you could be in a situation with no way to cook your meat, are you going to now buy 15 or 20 pounds of meat, 75 to 100 pounds of meat, 15 or 20 shells of meat? The meat will spoil before you can eat it. You know what I mean? You should be stacking up on non-perishable items, canned goods that will outlast an apocalypse, stuff that doesn't spoil quickly. Because if you're going to be in this situation for a few months, you want the food to still be edible in a few months. Strawberries will last you about a week after you buy it from the store, if you're lucky. If you're lucky. If you remember to package it up and freeze it as soon as you bring it home from the store, it might last you a little bit longer than that. But if you buy a container of strawberries and just put them in the fridge, by next week, about a week after you bought them, the strawberries are covered in mold inside the fridge. You got to throw them away or buy less. You got to put it in your mind, I'm using this shit today. Otherwise, it's a waste of money. And this is what corporate investors are going to speak about. Another thing they're going to say is, we've raised prices and people keep buying. So we're going to keep raising the price. This is what corporate officers are saying in their budget meetings to their shareholders. If you were a shareholder, you would have known. Not a lot of us invest in the things that'll put money back into our pockets. MRE meals ready to eat or meals rejected by everyone else. You know what? If you put more I have to find a place that sells MREs, and I'm gonna have to like really get like 15 or 20 cases of MREs just to have them, and they're gonna have to be on the shelf, probably the top shelf, encased in something that's waterproof, so that if any event that all else fails, this location is going to be like MRE packed for the near coming zombie apocalypse. Strawberries from my Walmart mold in 2 days every time. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you leave them out, it'll mold in 2 days. If you put them in the fridge, it might last you a week. But that's it. 7 days after you get it from the store, it's done. It's not. You can't eat them no more. If you don't mind cutting away the moldy pieces, and as soon as I say that, a lot of people are talking about you. But if you are going to cut away the moldy pieces like restaurants do, and then use the part that doesn't have mold on it, you could potentially salvage some of it, but you're still throwing away the most of it, right? Oh, I love the MREs, man. I had MREs throughout Hurricane Katrina. We had what, 90 days of MREs, and I was actually the first month and a half of Katrina, I was mixing my MREs with some of the stuff that I still had in the fridge, and I was making good meals. We had steak and potatoes, crab legs, and we were mixing it with the stuff that we had with the MREs. And I was going through all of the. My first 2 months of suffrage was like the best food I had had since Mama cooked food. I'm like, I don't know why the fuck these people mad at the MRE, but they're like a science experiment. Pop this open, pop that open, pour that in there, shake it up, hot meal. Shoot. Save some money in the prison. Feed everybody MREs. But now, to be fair, the grocery stores themselves, like Kroger and Albertsons, often operate on a very thin profit margin. So there are some companies that do not make bank on this. According to industry reports, food retail profit margins can be as low as 1 to 2%. So they'll tell you that they aren't the ones getting rich. And while the direct margin on a obvious mission concentrated upstream with the massive multi. Hold on a second. Usually 3%. Look, I seen the whole screen flicker. I'm like, what the hell? I gotta sit here and make sure that we still on here. Uh, so what I was saying was, the bigger profits are concentrated upstream with the massive uh, multinational corporations that produce the food. He said usually 3%. Now, the giant packaged goods companies that own dozens of brands that you see in every aisle, companies like Nestle and General Mills, operate with much healthier profit margins, often in the 10 to 15% range or even higher. These are companies with the national brands that everybody know and love, and they have the price power to purchase through increases. So the grocery stores themselves is just the financial stop where the price hike is passed on to you, not necessarily. Special shout out to Max the Poser. Because I thought we fixed this problem. Well, we fixed the computer problem. The snow that came through broke the towers, not the transformers on the towers, and now they're servicing some stuff, and we get this flicker thing that happens on the podcast right now because they've been trying to get stuff taken care of with that. And no, I don't think that guy would be able to lower any grocery prices. Nobody's lowering grocery prices. Grocery prices are going to continue to stay the price that they are until they go up. That's something that you can guarantee. I don't know who that is. So when you hear that inflation is the reason for your pain at the checkout station, you need to ask, whose inflation is it? Is it the inflation of their cost or the inflation of their profits? Right? Because the data shows that for a significant period, it was the latter. Uh, I don't know who that is, so I can. Okay, so I don't vote for presidents for the sake of who the person is. I look at the policies that they represent, and I decide if that's going to be the policies that's going to run my paycheck for the next 4 years. Okay, and to be honest with you, um, in the last particular campaign, my vote would have been on the $1 million for the last generation of individuals that were impacted by the slave trade thing, because since I have an immediate relative that was born in '56, everybody up until 1965 would have got $1 million, which means that I would have been directly related to a recipient of that $1 million. So I don't give a damn what the policy would have been for that person, for the person that got put into office. I know that 8 generations removed would have been 1965, and anybody after 1965 would not have gotten it. Anybody after 1965 means I personally wouldn't get it, but I'm related to somebody that was born in 1956 and they would have qualified for it. And being a power of attorney over their assets, that person would have got $1 million that I would have benefited from. So I would have voted in the direction of getting that $1 million, because if that person would have got put into office, even though the rest of the policies sucked, I would have been directly in touch with $1 million. That's how I vote. I don't vote based on popularity. I don't vote based on the reputation of the person. I vote based on the policies. Even though the person who was offering the $1 million+ was also offering more freedom for abortion, I would have taken the $1 million and went to another country that was promoting the generation of children. Because you can't get everything that you want in life. See what I'm saying? Uh, grow are only apples, grapes, pears, 6 chickens for me eggs, some raised for some meat. That's how you do it. Now, if greedflation is the loud strategy of jack tags, shrinkflation is the other part we were talking about earlier. That is the sneaky cushion, because it's the corporate magic trick that's happening right under your noses. And we explained this about half an hour ago. So the prices stay the same, giving you the illusion of stability, but the product itself gets smaller and smaller. You feel like you're paying the same, but you're absolutely getting less. Sometimes because you're poor, and you experience this most with the oatmeal cream pies. Perfect example. Back in the day, an oatmeal cream pie used to be this big and you'd pay 25 cents for it. Then they went from the individual packages to the bulk packages, buy 12 in a box. The ones that were 12 in a box, slightly smaller. Then they had the family pack where you might have like 18 in a box. Might be smaller, but you're okay. You're going to eat this. You're going to pass this around. Then the smaller one becomes the only one available, right? They take off the family size name. It becomes the standard. Get used to it. Then all of a sudden, a newer one comes out, family size, larger portions, larger price, bigger box. You accept it, right? Companies know that we are highly sensitive to price changes. We notice when a $3.99 box of cookies suddenly becomes $4.49. But our brains aren't nearly as good at tracking weight value or count. So we don't have the net weight of our favorite cereal memorized. Corporations exploit this psychological blind spot with ruthless efficiency. He said we have to start thinking old school, need to step back in time. I agree with you on that. A lot. We do need to change the way we do some of the stuff that we do. With stringflation, I don't know how Walmart did it, but just yesterday, he said, I cooked a skillet full of ground turkey and had a pan halfway filled with water, not green, but water when it cooked up. Well, Walmart's not doing it. That's what you don't understand. Walmart is not doing it. Walmart's selling the products. The manufacturer of the product that is being sold in Walmart is doing it. So what happens is that you get this package, they put everything into the package, and then they vacuum seal the package. So you notice you're talking about you said ground turkey. Instead of having ground turkey in a container that is like full of air, they will shrink it, sucking a lot of the air out of it, sucking a lot of the weight out of it, and then you buy that. Difference as opposed to the bag of chips, where you'll see the bag full of, or not full of chips, like halfway with chips or 3/4 of the way with chips, and then a bunch of air is forced into it, and then they seal the bag. When you pop the bag, 75% of the chips are not there, or 25% of the chips are not there. You know, sometimes when they're putting it in this meat, they will put meat in the package with the water or the fluid or whatever, and then suck the air out. And you're thinking that you're buying so many pounds of meat, but a lot of that is water. Yeah, some of that water keeps the meat moist when you go to use it, but water holds weight too. You're buying the package by the pound, you're buying the package by the ounce, and that includes the weight of the water. It includes the weight of any fluids that are in the packaging. It sometimes includes the weight of the damn package that it's put in. So you buy something that could be covered in plastic, might be cheaper than something that is put into a box. Same item. One manufacturer wrapped it in plastic, vacuum sealed it. The other one put it in a box. The one in the box costs more than the one in the bag. He said, most people are dependent on others for food. Food can be used as control, and it can be used as profits. Not grease. That's right. Not grease. But grease is fat. It's not grease. It's water. Terrible, right? Adding water to the meat products. Yep. I noticed that myself too. Look, this isn't a conspiracy, y'all. This is what's going on. I bought a big bag of nacho cheese chips, and when I opened the bag, there was a block of cheese. Still ate the chips. I would have brought that back to the stove. Like, what you mean? I did not order cheese. I ordered chips. But they'll get you. But the evidence is going to be everywhere, y'all. Paper products are a classic offender of this. A roll of paper towels might go from 98 sheets to 86 sheets. Your toilet paper, the packaging for your toilet paper, might still say 12 rolls, but the sheet count per roll has quietly dropped. The snack aisle is even worse. Family size bag of chips that used to be 10 ounces is now 9.5, but the bag is just as big, filled with more nitrogen. Cereal boxes have become masters of the illusion, shrinking by an ounce or two at a time. A juice container that was standard half gallon, 64 ounces, is now 59 ounces. An ice cream, which is a pint, is now sold in a 14-ounce container labeled pint of ice cream. I just want to make sure that you understand that a pint of ice cream is not 14 ounces. They're literally changing the definition of a pint by doing that. Crazy, right? The psychology is clear. Studies confirm that consumers are far more reactive to change in price than they are to identical changes in the product size. And it is a passive aggressive price increase. One study looked at a decade of data, found that products downsizing is more than 5 times as common as upsizing. But the deception doesn't stop there. There's another more insidious tactic called skimpflation. We're going to get into that one in just a second. Is that toilet paper almost $8 a roll of 6? And you find yourself in these situations where you try to go and buy like 8 or 10 bundles and put them in the house so that you don't need no more toilet paper for the rest of the year. Next time you go back to the store to go buy toilet paper, you forgot how much it costs to buy toilet paper. You forgot what you had. You forgot how many sheets per wipe you use. All you know is that you have not bought toilet paper in almost a year and you are down to your last roll. Time to go buy 10 or 15 bundles of toilet paper and stick them in your house. You're just going to get the cheapest one or the most comfortable one and accept the price, whichever direction that you go. It says, why I pay about $2 for that 6-pack of toilet paper? $8 for a roll of 6, and he can pay $2 for it. You've got the single ply versus the 2-ply versus the quad ply. I'm telling you. So that's another way that they'll shrink it. So instead of selling, so the different layers, they go from a single layer, which rips easy, to a double layer that might be a little bit more. Then you have the quilted fabric, which is like 3 or 4 layers, and that one they're going to charge even more. So you're looking at everything in there is reduced in size first. Then when you get used to using it that way, they will offer you the original at a higher price, like, oh, this is new, right? Because who looks at their paper, who looks at their toilet paper and says, oh no, that's not the right thread count. It doesn't happen. Now, with shrinkflation, this is when the company doesn't change the price or the size, but instead secretly degrades the quality of the ingredients to save money. So your favorite yogurt might start using cheaper fillers and less real fruit. That ice cream might reduce the amount of real cream, forcing it to legally be relabeled from ice cream to a frozen dairy dessert, right? And that chocolate bar might swap out some of its cocoa butter for cheaper vegetable oil, changing its taste from what you used to and what you love to something else. Materials get lower quality as well, and that's what we're talking about right now. That's right. Does your toilet paper feel softer? It's because it's wrapped loosely on the roll, like more, making it look more, but it's less, right? That cottonelle. And this be costing us so much money. Skimpflation is the ultimate betrayal because it preys on your trust in the brand, which is why if we teach our kids and teach our teenagers to not pay attention to buying the brand and pay attention to buying the quality in the brand, when the quality changes, your money goes somewhere else, which forces them to bring the quality back in order to keep you as a customer. So when you're buying a product based on a history of quality, but the company changes the formula without telling you, betting that you're not going to notice, you're left with a product that's a shadow of its former self. And you know it doesn't taste as good. Take Oreos, for example. Oreos used to be made with, what was it, lard from the whale lard or whatever, and they made that shit used to be real sweet. It used to be real good. Now it's a lot of processed sugar. Completely different product in comparison to what it used to be. Some things could have been designed for a little bit more healthier of a experience, but more often than not, it's just cheaper for the company, so they change the ingredients. You get used to it. If that's the best that you're going to get at this moment in comparison to what you remember, and you pay for what you can get, the convenience of what you can get. They prey on ignorance, which is why we teach you guys to focus more on learning. Do your research on a lot more stuff other than which girl shakes her butt better. You've got to figure out in life where you benefit the most. What toilet do you recommend? They don't sell those though. But most toilets are porcelain. But you notice the ones in the prison are stainless steel and aluminum, right? More durable. Makes you wonder, right? And they're not going to change that toilet out. So here's a question. Why don't we fight back more about this? A Purdue University survey gives us a clue on it. While 82% of us say we always or often check the price, only 51% check the unit price, and even fewer, just 44%, check the weight. The whole system is built around you looking at the bag itself, the big, bright price tag, not just the tiny text on the shelf that tells you the price per ounce. Remember, I was giving you guys a whole show about how to buy based on the unit price per ounce so that you can make sure that you're getting more for your money, and make sure that that unit price per ounce with the weight of the box, because it is the price per ounce of the item plus the packages inside. Unit price is how many units is in it, right? Price weight is the whole item, but the unit price. So if you have, like, say, Gushers, and they have like 30 pieces in there, 30 units in there, each unit is 17 cents. That means if you spent $5 on it, you should have however much that would be. If I did better math, because I'm not going to crunch the numbers on that. If I said that you had a $1.70 and you're paying 17 cents a piece, then you probably have like 10 of them in there, right? So if it was a $17 box, you should have 100 pieces in there, right? If there ain't 100 pieces in there, you got a problem. The ultimate production betrayal was when Hot Pockets took out the crisper sleeve and told us to use an air fryer. Well, they took out the crisper sleeve so that they didn't have to pay for the crisper sleeve. That reduces the cost of the product. They didn't reduce the price of the product, but they're not paying for the materials. Now they just, Hot Pockets, they just put the thing in there in the in the clear plastic packaging, and you got to figure it out yourself. Doesn't matter if you use an air fryer or stick it in the wave on a plate. What matters is the cost of them putting a crisper sleeve on each one of those Hot Pockets is not their cost to bear anymore. That's skimpflation. You notice the inconvenience of it, and the crisper sleeve was good for us because we used to be able to use that crisper sleeve to hold our Hot Pocket in our hand and walk around and eat that bad boy. Now you're going to have to go, oh, look, it costs more money for us to eat. Now you got to go get you some paper towels, wrap it up in a paper towel because you don't have a crisper sleeve, and eat it that way, and hope that one of your bites isn't chewing on paper towel on top of your Hot Pocket. But that tiny text is where a lot of the truth lies, and not a lot of people pay attention to it. And it is the numbers that they're betting that you won't look at. Most people don't. The same survey found that 76% of consumers believe shrinkflation is just companies trying to increase profits, not cover costs. Right? So we have greedflation and shrinkflation. But to understand why this is all happening with such audacity now, we have to look at the structure of the entire food industry. This isn't just a few bad actors, it is the predictable result of an entire system where a handful of giant corporations hold immense, uncheckable power. The issue is market consolidation. Through decades of mergers, nearly every part of the food supply chain, from meat processing to consumer brands, has become dominated by a small number of colossal players. A company like PepsiCo doesn't just make soda, they own Frito-Lay's, Quaker Oats, and dozens of other brands, giving them control over multiple aisles in the store. And why does this matter? Because a lack of competition kills price wars. 50cc oil, 2-cycle, is about $5 per bottle, while a pint is 5 times the value, and it costs is $9.99. Wow. So if you bought 10 single bottles, it would cost you $50. But if you bought the pint, you would only pay $10. By the pint size, it measures out to 50 cc's. So ultimately, the way things work, the way the packaging works, the more you buy, the bigger the quantity that you buy, the less money you spend. You see which again, unit price. Not a lot of people pay attention to that when they're going shopping. So when you only have a few dominant companies, they don't have to aggressively compete on the price. And when they had price wars, everything was cheap because two different companies would offer similar products, and you were going to get the cheapest one. Now that the giants own all of the products, they don't have to reduce the prices anymore. They can just raise the prices all the way across the board. And we buy whichever brand we want. Cheaper in bulk. Yes, sir, it is. That's why a lot of people go to Costco and Sam's Club and BJ's, because it's cheaper to buy it in bulk. But when you go to Sam's Club, Costco, and BJ's, you'll find an interesting trend that each item that you're buying, while it's a bulk package, is always on average more than $10 per item. So if you pick up a case of ketchup, $10, a case of chips, $10. If you put 20 things in your cart, $200. Yeah, you're buying it in bulk, but you're going to buy $10 worth of toilet paper because that they're packaging it strategically in a way where, even though you're buying it in bulk, you're buying it by the case, you're still paying a flat rate amount for the quantity that you're consuming, which guarantees them a sale. If you've ever worked at a fast food restaurant, they have a goal with the cashiers to have an average sale price. So they want you to sell $10 per person or $20 per ticket. Well, they're going to upsell you until you reach that mark. You can't just ask for one item. They're going to offer you 3, put it into a combo meal, give you a discount, but it's not really a discount. Each individual item is already overpriced individually. Then they'll throw in a drink, right? Fill it with ice, right? Make you feel better, right? But the overpriced sandwich, the overpriced fries, offset the cost of the free drink, but you still just paid $20. That was the goal. He said ketchup is ketchup, so don't think the name is on the label. He ain't lying about that. Hunt's is the same as a general ketchup brand. You know what I mean? It does not matter which bird. But if you think about you only buy General Mills, you're going to spend more money because it says General Mills on the container when the great value right next to it, same quality, or General Mills might actually be more quality because they're not going to reduce because it save money already, and great value will give you just as much ketchup. It's not like your taste buds are gonna melt because you went and got the store brand. You know what I mean? Then most of these products come from the same factory. They do, and that's what we call white label. So what happens is when it comes from the factory, the product comes from the factory. White label means there's no brand on it. Then you send it to a brand to get labeled, and then it goes to the shelf. So you might have 3 different brands on the exact same item, same quality, but the prestige of the brand dictates the price, right? Then you got the store bought, no brand, no name brand, cheaper because you're not paying for a brand. He's a Honda generator versus a Predator. Exactly. I'll take the Predator generator off your hands for you. I agree. I agree. I'll take the Predator generator. I'll take it because a generator is a generator. A lot of the times, it's a motor that produces electricity and burns gas. Until you show me one that costs less gas to operate, that produces more electricity for the same quantity of gas, where you're looking at the specs of the generator is a better performing generator, then I'll probably buy one because it's a better performing generator. But when you start talking about they're all going to produce the same quantity of power and take the same quantity of gas to utilize, it has the same quantity of maintenance, one versus the other doesn't really matter. Whichever one is on the shelf when you're rushing to the store to buy a backup generator right before the hurricane, right? So when these guys, the big guys, buy up all of the small guys, they can engage in what is called tactic collusion. Okay. One company, the market leader, announces a price increase, blaming rising costs. Then, knowing they won't be undercut, the other giants quietly follow suit. They all benefit. And you have nowhere else to go. Oh man, I'm a big fan of propane and propane accessories. If you do not know, you better go get you some propane and propane accessories. Matter of fact, if you live near a Walmart, that they have a policy that allows you to return your empty propane tank and trade it out for another propane tank. But you ain't gotta go through the effort of refilling that propane tank, and then you can just bring it on back to the house and tap it out. Now, you can also get the little mini propane, refillable propane tanks, and instead of throwing those bad boys away, you could take it to a propane distributor who will refill it for you, so that you can keep your propane accessories to go with your propane tanks. So your propane grill, your propane stove, and your propane heaters will be able to provide you with the utmost pure propane in your house. If that ain't a King of the Hill production, I don't know. Hank Hill and his propane, well, I tell you. Yeah, it's definitely called a monopoly, but it's a monopoly in a different sense of the word, though. I thought it was illegal too, but see, okay, take for example Google. Google got caught because they bought out everybody, not everybody. They bought out all of the accessories to electronics, cell phones, computers, everything to that effect, and they're contracting their service where they become the dominant source search engine, right? They finally got caught. Now you're starting to see Yahoo come back. You're starting to see Bing. You're starting to see Duck. You're starting to see all of these other less satisfactory search engines that probably work equally as well as Google, but because you're so used to the brand, because it's seen everywhere, it's on every device, you use it for everything. You treat, and I do it too, you treat the other search engines like a virus. And you literally go, if you get redirected to one of those, you literally type into the search bar to manually get brought back to Google so that you can stay on your Google platform. Back in the day, you would bounce around from one to another, and whichever search engine got you to your answer quicker, that's what it was. Now it is exclusively Google use. Monopoly. You have monopolies. They have territories now where, to prevent a monopoly from occurring in a city or state, they will have major companies that will have a certain percentage of the population. They're not going to expand beyond that area. The competitor is in a different zone. All of the clients in this area experiences a price increase. You don't like it, move. That's how it goes. Still, in a sense, a monopoly, because there's only one electric company in your area, there's only one water company in your area, and you don't have a choice on that. However, because there's more than one water company in your state and there's more than one electric company in your state, if you don't like the utilities that are being offered at that price in that location, don't go there, don't move there, move somewhere else, right? But you can't say that you don't like your the services from your utility company and go somewhere else, go to a different company. No. You have like Frontier and Spectrum in certain areas, and then you have Cox in other areas. A lot of the times where Frontier is offered, Cox isn't offered. They end up with a monopoly. That's why I stay away from HOA. HOA is a deed trust, which is a little bit different. A land trust where they subjugated the house from the land, and the property owner manages the property. You manage your own house, but you manage your house through approval of HOAs. It keeps the value of the property a certain way, and it prevents from having swings. But the people who get into those HOA boards actually, for the first time in their lives, finally have a little bit of power, and they start becoming tyrants, and it builds a wrong reputation. But if we had appropriate behaving communities in those HOAs, the community would not have to have potholes in the roads, no light, no lights, street lights at night, and not all the houses have a mailbox and all this other stuff. The stuff that makes you identify a bad neighborhood, trash all over the place and everything to that effect. HOAs put a stop to that. But the problem is that HOAs also overstep. You're not allowed to close your garage. They want to make sure that the inside of your house looks a certain way. They want to make sure that the inside of your yard is a certain way. And in order for them to make sure that that happens, what they have to do is they have to trespass on your property and see if you're in compliance with the HOA agreement, and then fine you. And if you don't pay the fine, they can foreclose on your house. So you end up at the mercy of a small local government that is HOA, that dictates after you buy the deed. So when I buy a house, I am not, if it is in an HOA area, I'm not buying a house. Because I agree with you, Michael. I'm not fucking with an HOA. They're not going to monopolize my set. That's not going to happen. Now, When these guys all work together to bring these prices up, their profits are going to rise simply because they can get away with it. Because the competitor, when you raise it, think about this. Um, if you're going to go to your boss and you're going to get a raise, and then everybody else is going to get a raise. You can't do anything. Well, that's not a good example because, say for example, like this. Say if you have a restaurant and you raise the prices on your food, right? And because all of y'all work together, when the neighboring restaurant sees that you raised your price, they raise their price. Then the other restaurant raised their price, and then the other restaurant raised their price. Now all the restaurants in the area are almost at the same price as you. So if you was once charging $10 and now you're charging 20, everybody else that was charging 10 is now charging 20. Now, no matter where you go, you're paying $20. So the person who raised their price is not going to lose their customer base because everybody's going to raise their price. That's how this works, right? Claudia, hello, hello, hello. We're talking about how groceries are unnecessarily going up in price, and then we're going to talk about what we can do about it. Most valuable item in the universe is wood. I thought time was the most valuable item in the universe. But I guess wood is good. Wood is good. This concentration of power that happens from everybody working together creates the perfect environment for the greedflation, which is when the companies charge extra money unnecessarily just to line their pockets for profits. I spent $20 a day on groceries. I spent 35. No, 37.98. And all I did was buy a couple boxes of Hot Pockets and some oatmeal cream pies. $35. I'm like, this shit gonna last us for the next month and a half. At what point does it start to be gouging on prices? Well, you've got to think about you're not going to officially experience price gouging per se because they're only raising the price a little bit at a time, but everybody's raising the price across the board. So you're not going to see like a $75 price hike on an item where it's just outrageous pricing. You're also not going to see a price drop either. So you're not going to see like one company selling it far cheaper than everybody else. Special shout out to Mango. Yeah, Sri Lanka we covered Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is pretty affordable. You can also find a little bit cheaper groceries in the Philippines and potentially in Japan and Vietnam and maybe even South Korea, which we're going to be covering South Korea next Wednesday. Time keeps slipping through my fingers. I bet it does. Just get groceries from the farm. It's not always that easy though, because there's certain farmers markets that have certain items, and then the quality of the items is going to be based on when they picked it versus how soon you get to it from the time they pick it. Not everybody's going to the farm. We're getting the convenience of getting it from the farm, and we got to pay the cost for convenience. That's horrible. Shit, yeah, it was horrible for me. Man, when I go to the store, we're talking about $400 at the grocery store. So I make it a point to try to only go to the grocery store once a month. However, I have found it beneficial that I have been following my own methods with budgeting and rearranging things, and now I have enough groceries to last me for 2 or 3 months for the same quantity of $400 that I went to the store to go buy. But this particular one thing, and then when I think about it, because I ordered from Walmart.com, I was only trying to get the two boxes of Hot Pockets, and it was like, oh, it's going to charge me $7 for delivery. So if I buy 2 boxes of Hot Pockets, it's going to charge me $7 for delivery. So if I because the boxes were like $16 to $17 a piece. It was like $33, I think, 33 or $34. It was just under the $35 minimum for the free delivery. So to prevent from having to pay $7 or $8 for them to drop it off, I had to get more than $35 worth of stuff. So that made me buy the box of Oreos an extra $5 to get the oatmeal cream pies. I mean, to get the extra $5, so that will be over $35. So the $7 that they would have taken out of my pocket for delivery costs ended up being the cost for the box of oatmeal cream pies. So what do you get for your $20? Yeah, I don't know. Shirt feels tight. Yes, it does. It is extremely tight, bruh. It is, and it is a slim fit style, and I hate the slim fit style. But here's another thing: the reason why the shirt is weird is because I've got this device here that is supposed to be able to provide a little bit of support for the spine, because I know you've seen me on the show a couple of times with pillows behind my back or whatever. Because I've got a fractured spine with some broken vertebrae that slip out, and sitting in this position for any period of time, the spine kind of like pops out, and then I got to push it back in. So this particular item here, very good for the posture. So what I do is I put it behind my back somewhere in some kind of way, and then I just lean up against it, which keeps my vertebrae in place, so I don't have to experience it popping out during a show. But the problem is that while I'm sitting here, the item is pulling my shirt up. So then I try to pull my shirt down in the front, but I can't pull it down in the back without pulling on the item. So I'm like, man, now I got to readjust myself so that I can get good in the show. They say I just go to Walmart. Yeah, but Claudia, while you drive to Walmart to go and buy your groceries, Walmart delivers to my house. And I spend about $50 a year for Walmart to drive stuff to my house. If you think about how much money per gallon that you spend to go to Walmart, and then you um, think about how much over time that is over the course of the year, you might find yourself spending more than $50 in gas money to get to Walmart. Since they're giving me free delivery after a certain amount of money, since I'm gonna buy items, I just make sure I buy more than $35 worth of items so I get the free delivery. And that gives me the benefit of not having to go to the grocery store, not spend 2 hours of my day at Walmart, plus a trip to and from Walmart. So you spent 20, I spent 35. You probably spent 45 minutes to 2 hours doing what you did, and I actually spent the 2 minutes on the phone to put in the order and the 2 more minutes to get it from the door. Now that I think about it, it's out there right now. I can just go grab it and bring it in. And I live in a neighborhood where they don't take stuff off my porch. You're sitting in the wrong chair and need an orthopedic chair. Yes, sir, I definitely do. I was actually thinking about getting a different kind of chair, but I haven't gone and bought one yet because I have not found finance value in it, because the item that I bought to put on my back only cost me like $10. So I was like, $10 versus $100 chair. That's okay. But I do need an orthopedic chair. She said today I got tomatoes, onions, cilantro, jalapenos for salsa, brown rice, orange juice, and a bottle of vodka. It's no longer $20, which she said, bottle of vodka, 5 minutes away from Walmart. I know, and I'm 10 minutes away from Walmart. But that doesn't change the fact that the time it took for it's a 5 minute drive, plus the effort that it took for you to get out of your comfy out in the house clothes to getting dressed to leave the house clothes. And some women actually put on makeup before they leave the house to go to Walmart. Then you're going to get in the car and drive. If you're living in a state with snow, you're now driving in bad weather and bad drivers so that you can go 5 minutes up the street. Then you have to find a parking space. And when you find a parking space, that might take 5 minutes to find a place to park. And that's burning gas. Then you get out of the car, you got to walk to the store because you don't always find a door spot unless you're disabled. And when you get in the store, find you a shopping cart. Then you go through all of the aisles to find all of those items, because those items are not all in the same spot. And then Oh no, I'm gonna tell you like it is. Then when you finally, and they do that on purpose, they spread the stuff out so that you can buy more stuff along the way because people typically impulse buy. So you went there for certain stuff, you put certain things into your cart, and then you're going to pass by other stuff, and you're going to end up putting that in your cart too by the time you get to the store. Then when you get to the register, you're buying everything that you put into the cart. Then you're going to have to carry the cart back to the car, load the car up, move the shopping cart, and this is all of the stuff I miss out on by having them delivered to my house. Then you drive it back to the house, park your car, take everything out of your car, hope to God you don't have stairs, bring everything into your house, and then unload your stuff. So while the drive to the store is only 5 minutes, you still can clock 1 to 2 hours for your journey from the time you got out of bed to go to the store till the time you unloaded the groceries into the fridge and went back to bed. You probably spent 2, maybe 2.5 hours, where I put in almost 5 minutes. To spend $35 at Walmart is easy, and the delivery is free. Yeah, I would have delivery too. That's what I'm saying. That's why I do delivery. That's why I do delivery. So the cost for gas and effort, I pay for convenience. It's a $50 membership for Walmart online to deliver. You download the app onto your phone. You pay for the membership. You get discounts on gas with the gas stations that they have, the Murphy gas stations they have outside of their stores. So it does help you there. And then you also have the ability to when you're buying online, certain items that you're looking at have manufacturer rebate prices where they give you like $1 or so back every time you buy something. Oh yeah, I go and grab stuff. I go and grab stuff. And with Walmart.com, depending on what kind of food assistance card that you have, they have opportunities where you can add your food assistance card on there. So if you got an EBT card or something like that, you can just add that on there, buy your groceries off your food stamp card, and then pay for everything else with cash. And the only thing that they don't allow you to do off of the app is alcohol. You can buy it online; they'll hold it for you at the store, but you got to go and pick it up and show your ID. But everything else, oh yeah, they'll do it. So you would have left your house to go to Walmart to buy the bottle of vodka, but everything else would have been delivered. He said, I love going to the zoo. uh, and then, oh, we got to get back to these reports. He said, Wally World. I remember we used to call it Wally World when we was going back in the day, but Wally World used to be like Toys R Us. He said, man, just be honest and say you're lazy. Admit it has nothing to do with gas. No, no, I'm going to first admit that I'm lazy as fuck before we start talking about how this is financially feasible for you. Secondly, after I admit that I'm lazy as fuck, it is all about the fact that if it is cheaper for me to spend $50 over the course of 12 months to have my groceries delivered to my house where I can order from the store unlimited for 12 months. If I order twice a month from the store to be delivered for free, you spend 5 minutes of drive time. You might use $1 to $2 of gas each time you drive the car. You're doing that twice a month. You start using $5 of gas to go to and from the Walmart round trip, plus getting stuck in traffic, plus looking for parking, blah, 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 blah. You multiply that $5 of gas a month going to and from Walmart times 10 months. That's $50. You still got 2 more months of the year. And my delivery is free. So that gives me the other $10. You would be spending basically $60 a year on gas at the cheapest to go to and from your 5 minute drive to Walmart round trip, and I would be spending $50 for delivery. And I don't go through the effort of going up and down stairs. I don't go through the effort of going out in bad weather. I can order it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and get it dropped off before I get off the podcast. I can order it when I get off the podcast, get it dropped off on the beginning of the porch. So while, yes, I pay for the convenience of being lazy as fuck, at the end of the day, it's actually cheaper. Because while I'm snowed in, guess who's bringing groceries to my house? I am not going to shovel my car out of the snow to go to Walmart. I can leave it froze over until next week. Really, I can leave it froze over for the rest of the month because I work from home and everything gets shipped to the house. So I don't have to go anywhere. I'm actually wasting money on car insurance because I don't need to go anywhere. Claudia's right. That's why the shirt doesn't fit. But see, that's the thing. I'm 165 pounds, 5'6". This is a slim fit shirt. I'm not a big fan of it. The shirt does fit, but it is too tight. I am not the kind of guy that likes to flex my biceps under the shirt. You know, he needs to exercise. Helps the back. I do exercise. I walk the dog before and after the podcast every day. That's like 30 minutes of walking. He's gonna make me start exercising during the podcast. Is he wearing? Am I wearing pants? Look, I'm gonna show you the pants. I'm wearing pants. I am not in the podcast in my underwear. That would have been funny though if I would have been standing here in some briefs, live podcast, button-down shirt, sitting in my underwear. That would be good. I'm not an extrovert, but maybe I like have some human interactions. Maybe that's why I like going to the store. No, so the problem is that because I work overnight and the store is open during the daytime, in order for me to go to the store, I would honestly have to lose sleep. So it's more convenient for me based on my schedule to sleep all day and have groceries delivered while I'm sleeping and then work all night on a computer. That's one of the major reasons why I do it. Then because of the back injury, instead of me carrying a bunch of groceries in and out of the car, carrying groceries to and from the store, they can actually drop it off on my doorstep. And the 5 minutes it takes me to bring it into the house and put it into the fridge, it's less physical strain on my injury. So, outside of the fact that I'm extremely lazy, the fact is that I found more convenience to it because I get to save time and not have to do the shopping. I just order what I want and get it delivered. I do like human interaction, but I also like because I used to work at a Waffle House. I used to be one of the night shift cooks. I also like my time. I find that when I wake up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that I don't have much day left. So I don't really. Oh, I know y'all kidding, but I just like I like because we don't do a lot of shows where I actually talk to you guys and kind of bond with y'all or anything like that. That doesn't happen very often. I give you guys a lot of facts, a lot of details, a lot of information to help y'all become better at who y'all are. But I don't always talk about me on the show. So a small segue to talk about me a little bit because we don't got that much show now. We got about 20 pages worth of information I wrote down, which I can cover in about 30 minutes. It's easy for us to segue over to some stuff. But no, I feel like it's a convenient. I never find myself defensive of myself. But no, she's right. I'm lazy as fuck. But I'm just not carrying groceries. I'm not carrying, and I'm gonna be an asshole. I'm gonna order the groceries in the rain, in the snow, in a blizzard, in a hurricane, during a riot. If ICE was in my neighborhood, Walmart would be delivering to my house every day because I ain't going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere. I'm gonna let you get your ass whipped trying to drop groceries off. He said, "Me too. I need people in my life, but love my alone time." I think 3 hours is enough time. Yeah, you're right. Turn to page 196. But look at how much information I had to do to get a script that's 196 pages long. Because I don't sit here and talk to y'all about bullshit. I don't bring to y'all nothing that y'all can't benefit from. And a lot of this stuff is facts. For example, there's a 2022 report from Roosevelt Institute that noted the corporate prices marked up in 2021 shot up to their highest levels since 1950s, which is a clear sign that market power was being flexed from those individuals that um, jack up our prices at the grocery stores. Um, remember to like and subscribe. That's right. Oh yeah, if y'all sliding in, if y'all watching us on YouTube, if y'all watching us on Twitter or Twitch, hit that like button, hit that heart button, like the show, and then remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. We got a lot of information for y'all every day of the week. He's like, I know I'm lazy too. Y'all have ordered from Walmart too. Whoa, you wasting your membership. Okay, so here's what you do, Claudia. You get the Walmart membership, right? You order online too. You need to do what I usually do when I go to the store. Price check. What you got to do is you've got to make sure that there isn't a coupon on the app for the product that you're about to buy in the store. Because you can order it. This is a good trick for you, Claudia, since you want to go to the store and socialize with folks. You can order this stuff and set it for pickup. Save time on wandering around the store crashing into folks. Get your discounts, go pick it up from the store. And you got your interaction because you're going to talk to customer service. Hey, I'm here to pick up my food. And you don't have a delivery fee either. You still get your, driving. You still get your sunshine. You still get your hanging out with strangers. You still get to carry your groceries up and down the steps. But whenever you go and find you a deal, like, for example, Progresso soups are like $1.98 a can right now. Buy 150 to them bad boys. You like, nah, fuck that. They'll carry it. They'll carry that shit up the street. Talk about that 5 or 10 pound bag of rice. Wow, that's all right. I'm gonna order that. I'm gonna have them deliver the heavy. If you don't do nothing else, you're gonna order the heavy stuff and be like, nah, let them deliver that shit. Nah, I ain't about to carry that to the house. Instead of saying I need a man, you're gonna say I need delivery. Fuck that shit. That shit is too damn heavy. You got a dog, you want to buy a 40-pound bag of dog food, order it online. Let them drop that shit off on the house. Everything great value. Everything great value. I don't even waste my time. I'd be looking at hints like I love you, but not today. Great value is my life. I'm buying store brand everything. I'm buying store brand everything. And the only time I don't buy store brand is when I can't find anything else. My dogs eat better than me. I cook for my dogs. So we eat the same stuff. He is not eating steak and I'm eating Spam. If I'm eating Spam, he's eating Spam too. Dang it. And if he's eating steak, he better give me some of that. I be gosh dog if he gonna be eating steak and I'm gonna be eating ramen noodles. That is not happening. I'm gonna take his steak, chop it up, put it into my ramen noodles, make 2 plates and give him 1. That's how we doing this shit. If he died from preservatives, I'm dying from preservatives too. I don't know what's going on here. But this structure also makes shrinkflation more effective. And this is going to be because when a dominant brand downsizes its product, the others in the same category also follow the same suit. So if Doritos shrinks its bags, it gives cover for Lay's and Tostitos to do the same thing. This creates a new, smaller industry standard, leaving you with no option that provides the old value. Because if one person shrinks their product, everyone else is going to shrink their product because they're all going to benefit from the shrink. If one person increases the quality, the product size with the new price, everyone else gets to do the same thing. And no one has to worry about backlash. Oh, such and such brand is overcharging now because everybody raised their price. See what I'm saying? The second part of this rigid system is the manipulation of your psychology. So the modern supermarket is carefully engineered to make you spend more money. The layouts, and that's what I was talking to Claudia about, how she's going all over the store trying to find stuff. The layout, the product placement, the sales tags, it's all designed to overwhelm your rational brain and trigger impulse buys, which is why they put it all over the place to make you grab more stuff. Take the sale tag, you see a bright yellow tag screaming special, sale, discount, clearance, and your brain gets a little hit of dopamine. But often these sales are pure theater. He says, I was going to have the steak last night, but my chihuahua stole it and went under the bed with it. So I would have had hot dogs last night. It was cold last night, so I put them outside. It would have been a chili dog, then I brought it back in. I would have roasted them. Oh, but wait, I've got a large chunk of ground beef right here. I have made a cheeseburger. I could put it, dogs over there. My dogs don't eat my food. I raised them from small that you won't survive if you eat my food. I feed them enough where they are not hungry. I can leave food unattended in the same room as my dog, and go somewhere else and come back, and my food will still be here. No sniffs, no licks, no drool, untouched, untampered with. Exact same quantity. He didn't take a piece out and run off with it. See what I'm saying? But if he wants some and I don't give him none and he hungry, oh yeah. As soon as he think I ain't paying attention, he diving right into it. So I make it a point to feed him first. So in these situations with the price tag items, the items might be discounted from a temporarily inflated regular price. And this is going to be the sale price that is actually the normal price, or a 2-inch for $5 deal is on an item that is normally $2.50. Or actually, so they'll say like $2 for five, 2 for 5, instead of it normally costing $2.50. So instead of you buying each individual item for $2.50, they'll give you a 2 for 5 deal where you will buy 2 items for $5. Then what they'll do is they'll take the $2.50 item and raise it to $3. So now you're forced to buy the 2 for 5, offering zero savings on your individual purchases. These are all marketing strategies. Then they'll use confusing packaging like family size. We were talking about family size earlier, to give the impression of savings. But if you calculate the unit price, you'll often find it's more expensive than the smaller version. They are constantly changing packages, designs, and not just for the marketing observation, but to disrupt your ability to make direct comparisons to the former. Remember back when chip bags used to be transparent? Now Doritos has a completely sealed bag. You can't see that the bag is half full. You know, that new sleeker bottle of dressing might look modern, but it's also probably holds half of an ounce less. It's a newer design. It looks cool, but the bulkier big bottle that you used to have had more stuff in it. It's like, oh, look, it looks like a model of skinny waist, blah, blah, blah. But that means that there's less in there. He says, I think Walmart trying to kill me. They always have the 2-liter bottles on the highest shelves, and I'm short. Sometimes I have to do shelf climbing or ask for a big person. Dude, you and I have the same issue. So I do it in the most inappropriate fashion. I will go to one of the dudes in the store and say, I need a man. Because as a man, I'm not supposed to ask a woman for this. I need a man. And he gonna look at me like you barking up the wrong rainbow tree. And I'm like, no, I need a man to mountain climb that fucking shelf and get all that shit off the top of the shelf, because I'm not climbing up there, right? And oh, I'm sorry, sir. And they'll go over there and go and climb up there and go and get it. But the fact that you had to go get stairs on wheels and roll it over there so that you could get up there means that it is out of my reach. And you know why they put that up there? Because the most expensive stuff that they want you to buy is at eye level. The stuff that they want you to get is eye level, right? Then they have at the ground level maybe a little less value, well, a little less value to them, but you got to bend over to get that. Then the stuff they don't want you to get is at the top shelf. You know what I mean? So eye level is prime real estate. And that's going to be where all the name brands are. You notice that the off brands are on the bottom shelf or further at the top shelf, and the middle shelf is missing. All the stuff in the middle shelf showed out. And you ask yourself, well, why they got all that shit on the top shelf when they got all the space in the middle? Because of marketing. It's all a strategy to make value comparisons as difficult as possible, because your cheaper items of the same brand might be on the top shelf where you can't see the price, or on the bottom shelf where you can't see the price. The one on the left and the one on the right that you're comparing together are 2 name brands. The great value is not in the middle. You got to bend over and find you some great value. No pun intended. on your emotions and your habits buying the brand, not on cold, hard calculations of value. So the more confused you are, the more likely you are to just grab what's convenient. And that's where their profits are made. Okay. So understanding how the game is rigged is step one. Step two is learning how to play it better, which isn't going to take nearly as much of the show to explain. So while we can't individually break up the monopolies, we can absolutely change how we shop to protect our wallets. So it's time for us, because I never find you a problem without finding you a solution. It's time for us to move from being a passive buyer to a strategic shopper. I like your thinking. I'm just being for real. I gotta make it as awkward as possible for them, because y'all put that shit way up there. I'm 5'6", bro. Me and Rey Mysterio are almost the same height. I'm sitting over here with me, Rey Mysterio, DMX. We all the same height. You know what I mean? We short as fuck. And for all those females, like, I want a 6'5" man. I'm like, fine. I want peace, so you go give him hell. I don't. Oh, you jealous? No, the fuck I'm not. Because while you want a 6'5" man, I want a 4'11" woman. I ain't trying to bitch. I'm trying to between 4'11", 5'5". That's it. So you 5'7". You okay? I give you a shot. But you looking for a taller dude? That's okay. I wasn't looking at your ass though. You taller than me. But I got to do this. I need eye level and maybe a little under eye level. That's about it. You know what I mean? You know, if your chin is up here, we gonna have some. I gotta stand on a box to assert my authority. All right, now, so the single most powerful tool that you have is going to be your unit price, and I talked to y'all about this a few months ago. So I can't say this enough. It cuts through all of the deceptive packaging and shrinking of products, because in America we have to advertise the actual price of shit for price comparison. So this is going to be a great equalizer. It is in small print, the tiniest of small print on the shelf's tags. Now, also realize, if in the event that they put the wrong item in front of the wrong price tag, that is considered advertisement. You saw the price, it says $12. The item is $75. You can buy that item at the sticker price. They're going to claim, oh, that item, that tag price is supposed to be for something else. I didn't put this in front of this label. Y'all did. They might give you a discount, but whatever turns out for that is that instead of you paying $75 for the item, you get a lot of stuff for far less. So looking at these tags helps you out in more than one way. However, since it is that small print on the shelf, it's going to be showing you the price per ounce in certain items. It's going to show you the price per pound in certain items, the price per 100 sheets of certain items, the unit price count. So if you have like 30 or 40 different packaged items inside of the box, how much is each item in the box? So before you put anything into your cart, you want to compare the price units. Is the big value jug actually cheaper per ounce? Is the national brand a better deal than the store brand? Making a habit of checking this one number will instantly make your immune system flex. You will no longer be as impacted to shrinkflation as other individuals. Second, break up with your brands. Corporations rely on your loyalty. I'm going to buy Hunts just because it's Hunts. I'm going to buy Nike and Jordan just because it's Nike and Jordan. Fuck them. Jordan don't even work no more. He almost dead. He ain't even going to benefit from this no more. His kids, his grandkids are going to benefit from it now. Fuck it. You don't need to buy that shit. My guy says, I got a lecture in the supermarket regarding climbing the shelves. I told the assistant manager that I would ask for help next time if I see an employee who is willing to help me. Okay, Walmart has a 10-foot heads up rule for Walmart employees. What that means is that if you are standing within eye view of an employee, their responsibility is to ask you if you need help. So if you're standing in front of a shelf in an aisle with an employee and you look up, they are supposed to ask you if they can help you. They are supposed to proactively put themselves in your path. The same way they would proactively put themselves in your path if they were accusing you of stealing stuff. They're supposed to proactively put themselves in your path to help you get stuff off the top shelf. So if you have somebody in an aisle next to you or in one of the adjacent aisles where they're stocking shelves, because there are people stocking shelves throughout the day that Walmart is open, you need to make sure that you put it on yourself to burden them. Even if you was originally not planning on getting something off the top shelf, if you was going to get something off the middle shelf, but you seen the same thing on the top shelf, you need to proactively go make them take it off the top shelf out of principle. I just want to watch you climb up there and go and get the stuff off the top shelf and put it into my cart. Even though there's some right here, I want that up there too. And they can't tell you no. They're gonna get up there, they're gonna get it, they're gonna take it all down. And then what they're gonna have to do is go back into the back and go get some more, put it back up there. But me climbing the shelf, I'm too old for that now. I'm too old for that. So the most powerful message that you are going to send to a company that has downsized its product is to stop buying the product. Start exploring store brands. Start looking at other quality products. They are no longer the cheap, inferior product of the past. Today, many are made in the same factories, just like Michael was talking about earlier, as national brands, and are often identical in quality for a much lower price. So instead of it being a knockoff where it's not as good as the name brand, it is just as good as the name brand. So you have to really start looking into steering away and just sample the name brand. Sample the name brand and see if it tastes better than your store brand, your national brand. Take your money elsewhere. If you don't like what they're doing, take your money elsewhere. Don't complain about high prices and then spend extra money on it. Complain about high prices and spend less money. Be like, fuck that. I ain't buying all that shit. Third, you got to plan your attack. Never go grocery shopping tired. Never go grocery shopping hungry. And never go grocery shopping without a list. You already know what's missing in your house. You do an inventory on what's missing in your house, and then you want to go and get what you don't have anymore, right? These are going to be situations where you're going to be the most vulnerable. If you are going shopping while you're sleeping, which is another reason why I order my food. If you're going shopping while you're hungry, you're in the most vulnerable position. And if you don't know what you went to the store for, you kind of had like one or two things you were thinking about, but you brought some money just in case. You're leaving yourself vulnerable. Before you go, you want to plan your meals, what you're planning on eating for the week, what you're eating for the between now and the next time you're going back to the store. You want to check your pantry. You want to make a detailed list. A hungry shopper is an irrational shopper. So have you some snacks first. If you still have trouble with impulse buys, try curbside pickup or delivery, like we're talking about right now. Because if you did curbside pickup, you can order your stuff online. You can order while you eat. You can, just get the things that you know is missing in your house and then just show up and they just put it in your car for you, which takes half of the stuff away. And now you don't have to worry about it. It says, while do you think Radio Shack, Woolworths is no longer here? Because the motherfuckers got bought out. I used to love Radio Shack. Radio Shack was my jam before Circuit City. Before you go to the store, Eat something. Yes, you gotta eat. You gotta eat. You never supposed. A lot of us roll out of bed and be like, "Fuck, I gotta go X, Y, and Z," and we run out of the house, empty stomach, and we go shopping. We go do everything we gotta do. Then we sometimes we eat while we out, and that's gonna waste money because you're hungry while you're out. So now you're gonna eat takeout because you're not at home to cook, and you don't have enough energy to get back to your house. All of this stuff is problems. You're wasting money somewhere, whether you're buying groceries in a store or you're wasting money by going to get takeout instead of cooking at the house. Is I never shop unless they have some deep discounts nowadays. Yeah, but we talk about groceries though. So like with stuff that's not groceries, you're right. Yeah, I don't buy nothing. I don't buy nothing unless I need it. But you got to buy food because you got to eat, and they don't always have deep discounts on the food. So you're gonna buy something. They still have Radio Shack in Latin America. Yeah, but I'm not moving to Latin America. And in all fairness, it is real dangerous for me right now in our current ICE country to be in Latin America since they are knocking on all the Latin doors and they might mistaken me as I'm not supposed to be here, even will making us row the boat to get here now and then put us in a shipping container and ship us back to where we came from. I kind of feel safer being in an all Caucasian community because they're not going to come over here and knock on doors. I kind of feel better being in a gated community because everybody here's got a passport and a Bentley. Is Circuit City still here? Circuit City is far and few in between, but they do have some Circuit Cities that still exist, usually next door to Walmarts. And you'll sometimes find a Payless across the street from a Circuit City, and you'll sometimes see a PetSmart where you see a PetSmart, Payless, Circuit City, Walmart. They know how to put their stuff. Now, another thing you can do, guys, is ordering online. This is going to force you to search for what you need, and it's going to make it easier for you to stick to your list. Then on top of that, while you're searching online and you're ordering this stuff, you're actually paying more attention to the price because instead of you impulse buying, when you look at the checkout counter and you see that amount of money that you're about to spend, all you're looking at is the money and input your credit debit card in this spot. You're not looking at all the stuff in your card. You know what I mean? So when you now are able to decide, like, do I really want to spend this much money on the shit that I grab? Now you're like, no, that's all right. Let me take some stuff out of the cart because I'm only going to spend this amount of money. See what I'm saying? So that helps you control the quantity of purchases that you're going to have. Fourth, you want to master timing and location. So if you shop for produce, it's the produce that is in season is going to be cheaper because it hasn't been shipped from halfway around the world. It's also going to be fresher. It's also going to last longer. So you want to learn the sales cycles at your local store. Like FX Trader says, he goes when there's deep sales. You want to stock up on non-perishables when they hit that deep discount. Okay? So don't be afraid to be a food nomad and visit a different store for the best deals on different categories. So that's right. I ordered online all the time. It's all good advice. This is all I have for y'all. Is good advice, man. Because look, one of the things when you're ordering groceries online in the house, like I was telling Claudia, the 2 to 4 hours that you spend at the grocery store just buying the food that you're going to eat, you honestly can save that time and go do something else out of the house. Go check your mail. If you got a post office box, go take care of other business. You could have the people delivering the food to your house because you don't got to give them a tip in person. You leave the tip on the app. So they could be delivering the food at the house while you're hanging out with friends at the mall or something if you were going somewhere. But instead of you spending half a day with the chore of grocery shopping, you can now spend half a day with benefiting yourself with something else. And then that chore of shopping gets reduced to you just taking the groceries off your porch and bringing it into the house. And if you're in a decent neighborhood where they're not stealing your groceries off your porch. If you order in the evening time after sunset, they're dropping the groceries on your porch. It's cooler outside. You don't have to worry about your stuff spoiling in the sunlight. Or if you order it first thing in the morning, it gets there before it starts getting hot outside. Your stuff is on the porch when you get up in the morning to go check your mailbox. You open the door to take your dog out for the first time today. You groceries right there on the step. Like this mentality almost replaces. Remember in the morning when you used to, and Michael would know about this. First thing in the morning, we would scratch our balls and go outside and go grab the newspaper, come back inside. Now you wake up in the morning, you scratch your balls, you go outside, you grab your groceries off the porch and bring them inside because they don't deliver newspapers anymore, right? All good advice. Oh no, I don't have porch pirates. I have ordered stuff at 8 o'clock at night, and I get off of this podcast at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes shit's still out there, but it's also like 30 degrees outside, so I don't really care. What they gonna do? Run off of my hot pockets? But there's also been some situations where I forgot that I had ordered some stuff because I ordered it yesterday for today kind of thing, right? And then it got here. I did my podcast, whatever. I had to start going to work right after. And then when I took the dog for a walk, it's 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's still sitting on the porch. Bring it in. I don't have people pirating my groceries. You know what I mean? Is I'll never go back to shopping in person with all the hustle that entails. I agree with you, bro. I don't like doing it. The only time I would go to the store is when, like, Claudia was going to get the vodka. If I have to go get something that requires me to show proof that I'm over the age of 21 in order to purchase it, that's when I go to the store. And whatever I was going to get in addition to that, that's what I'm going to the store for. But if that's not it, I'm not going to the store. Now, fifth, buy ingredients, not convenience. Pre-cut vegetables and ready-made meals come with a massive convenience tax. So buying a bunch of TV dinners isn't always good for you. You are paying a premium for a few minutes of work. Buy a block of cheese instead of a bag of pre-shredded cheese. And here's another thing that I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a tip, because I did not even think about this when I was making the script. Buy the unprepped food items and buy Tupperware. And then after you buy the Tupperware, you want to prep all of the food, put it into the Tupperware, put the Tupperware into your fridge. Okay? You're not gonna be able to fit everything in there. But the fact is that you'll be able to fit enough stuff in there so that when you start using those ingredients that require to be refrigerated, you can prep those ingredients up and then use them, and you have more ingredients going you a lot longer of a way. You start building a habit of buying your strawberries and then putting them in those Ziploc bags and then putting them in the freezer until you get ready to use them. They're not gonna spoil as quickly. And then you want to buy whole carrots instead of the baby cut ones, because these small savings is going to add up significantly. Michael says, so you can't get DVD without an adult, though I'm an adult. Well, if the DVD is R-rated, well, yeah. Well, you need an adult. So at 71 years old, you need somebody to come and ask you to get it. Go get it for you. Well, okay, so the problem that you have with you can't order certain things because kids can take their parents' credit cards and order certain things online. So then you also have this other problem that the person that's delivering your stuff is not supposed to be in possession of it if they're not the right age. So you're saying, like, you I see what you're saying, right? Because you're like, well, I mean, I have to show my ID that I'm at least 21. Well, yes, because the person bringing you the product has to verify that the person they're bringing it to is over the age of 21. Then when it comes down to delivery of alcohol and stuff like that, the person delivering it cannot be under the age of 21 because they're not lawfully allowed to be in possession of tobacco products and alcohol products if they're not of the appropriate age. So when you start ordering adult level stuff to be delivered, it starts becoming more difficult. That's when you got to leave the store. If you're going to buy you some liquor, some cigarettes, you're going to buy you some rolling papers or something like that, certain rated R movies, you have to proactively go and get that yourself. But what that was, but as soon as I seen it happen, the browser was like, nope. But the webcam is right there. So I don't know what's happening here, but we're gonna figure this out another day. So, but I told you I was prepped. I was prepped and ready for the show because I was like, yeah, I know some stupid shit gonna happen because everything's flicking earlier. But so the camera and stuff is not there, but the whole comment section is still working, so we can still see stuff. And that's one of the reasons why you have to go buy some of that stuff in person. But everything else that doesn't require children is not going to oh, well, what I was saying, because he's like, that's the end. That is not the end. Go sit down somewhere, Michael. Go sit down, Michael. That's not the end. Dag nabbit. But no, what I was saying was that threw me off a lot. No, so when you're ordering the stuff for adults only, exclusive adult only stuff, that's harder to do. But if you're buying stuff that anybody can go and buy, the kids can go and buy it or whatever the case might be, you can buy that stuff and get it shipped to your house and save you a lot of time. So even though like Claudia likes to go out and adventure and meet new people in the aisles and make friends, which is fantastic to do, if she had something else she wanted to do in that moment, she could order the stuff to get dropped off at the house, go pick up the vodka, go hang out with some friends, and then go back to the house and bring the groceries into the house. So the only thing she left the house for was the vodka, and everything else was shipped to the house. That's how I would have done about doing that. Funny, Walmart sells vibrators. That shocked me. Well, you're not supposed to touch it, Michael. Oh, Lord. And they call those back massagers, right? Personal massagers, right? Muscle stimulant kind of thing. It's supposed to be like on your neck and your shoulder blades, because that's what those things were made for originally. And then they put them in inappropriate places, became a wide selling product. As soon as they realized it could be used for that, millionaires. Just like when Viagra went from being a blood pressure because blood pressure, the Viagra was created when men were suffering from low blood pressure. So it was supposed to help with that. Then when they seen the side effects, they marketed it for the side effects. So a personal back massager that women are using for not back massagers being exploited for something else. You know what's funny, Michael? These ladies right now can use a Samsung S26 Ultra for the exact same purpose. Just crank up the volume of the vibration and then call yourself. Yes, sir. Finally, let's get in here about these groceries. Use yourself some technology. Your grocery store has an app. Most of them do. Use that. What did he say? DeWalt? Yes, sir. Now, they're loaded with digital coupons and personalized deals. So if you're buying stuff online, even if you go to the store and like to pick stuff up from the store, if you ordered it online first,
You can get those online deals. There are also third-party apps that help you compare prices across different stores in your area. That's going to take the guesswork out of finding the best deals. By adapting these strategies, you are voting with your money, not with your impulse buying. You are rewarding stores that offer transparent value and punishing those that rely on deception. Letting your money talk for you. He said, lost leaders. Well, a lot of us are lost these days, buddy. Now, this is just the beginning, because if you've had your own frustrating experience with products that shrink or a price that shot up for no reason, share your stories in the comments. I want you guys to let me know. We're going to keep this community going. We're going to be providing smart shoppers who can help each other spot these tricks. And these are going to be more beneficial for you because you'll be able to talk about this and hear about this. And the harder it is for them to get away with it, because you're going to be more knowledgeable about what's going on around you. Instead of just getting what you see or getting what you remember, you're actually getting what you need for the right price. So the next time that you're watching the total climb up at the checkout, you'll know the full story. And you'll know that it isn't just inflation. It's a calculated strategy. It's the brazenness of greedflation, where record profits are what we're going to be experiencing right now, were built on your rising bills. So when you see it in the news, you see that such and such sales went up. Like, for example, for Christmas this past year, right after the government shutdown, why are we breaking records on sales? So how many people borrow money for Christmas this year? It's for them to break records for online sales. That made no sense to me. But that's where we were. It says lost leaders are items that are sold at low prices just to get you into the store. Oh yeah, and then when you get in there, the bait and switch, because everything else is expensive as fuck. By the time you walk out of there, you didn't pay way more money than what you should have. Supermarkets are clever. They offer you a free delivery when you prepay for the whole year. Then they make you pay a tip for the delivery. Oh no, this is the problem. They don't make you pay for the tip. They pre-program the app to charge for the tip. You have to go in there and manually adjust it to custom tip, $0. And then, since you're prepaying for the year, because I prepay for the year, you make sure that you get your money for it. If you are only using the app once or twice a year, it's not worth it. But if you're using the app 2-3 times a week, 7 times a month, 15 times a month, when you think about, like I said, $1 to $2 of gas round trip to go to the store, and you're thinking about even 2 trips to the store a month, because some people go to the grocery store bi-weekly. That $4 a month would be $40, or $48 for 12 months. You're spending $50 to get free delivery. Now, when you start thinking about the extra unexpected stuff that you missed and you ordered extra stuff to get delivered to the house, now you're dealing with 6 to 8 times that you're ordering, 15, 20 times that you're ordering, 3 times a week you're ordering, and the stuff is coming in a little bit at a time throughout the month. You're saving money on delivery, because instead of you spending $400 once a month, you could literally spend $50 every few days to order the things that you need and only really mass buy before a major disaster. But if you were to buy a little bit more than what you need, and most of the extra stuff that you're buying is perishable items, you can find yourself overstocking, so that when a natural disaster comes, you don't have an influx on your grocery bill. Because what happens is, if you buy like chips and crackers and bread and meat and stuff like that, plus 20 or 30 canned goods, you'll find yourself in a position that the canned goods you don't eat on a regular basis that you would actually eat, you'll find yourself in a position when no deliveries happening, Walmart's sold out, nothing's anywhere accessible. You've got shelves of canned goods that you can crack open now and make a meal out of, right? And that's what people don't think about. Is an add in automatically 15%. That's what it does. It starts at like 15%. Sometimes it'll pre-program it at 10%. And then what you have to do is you have to manually adjust it. Because if you just fill your cart and hit send, they're going to program the tip in there for you. He said drone delivery. You're gonna keep doing that drone delivery. You'll make money off of it, but it takes a lot of effort. But the people who are going to do it is going to save time and money when they order for delivery. And we do eventually have to get back to survival tactics, but a lot of us are so spoiled with technology, the convenience of the technology that we have become accustomed to, we forgot what it's like to not have that. So we don't prepare ourselves for when technology breaks. I got kicked off my podcast a couple times this year, and I've got a backup one right here so that when it stops working, I'm still here. You don't got to wait 5 minutes for me to come back on. Couple seconds, I'm back on, because you got to prepare for failure. Technology is your friend until it's not. And when it's not, it is at the most inconvenient time. So if you're not prepared for it to fail on you, then you're not prepared. And now you have to figure out what you're going to do now that you can't log in, now that you can't use your devices, now that you don't have what you need in your house, but it's snowing outside, you can't go nowhere. We got to change that behavior. So you guys got to remember, the quiet deceptions of shrinkflation, the magic tricks that leaves you with less products for your money, less money in your pocket, and less time throughout your day. It is the result of a consolidated system where a few powerful players can set prices without fearing competition. So the story that they tell you on the complex global forces being responsible for this, and while those forces are a part of the equation, they are also a convenient smoke screen to hide a simpler truth. For the long term, they charge you more simple because they can. They're basically getting away with raising the prices because they can, because you're going to pay for it. They tested the limits of what you were willing to pay, and they keep pushing until we, as consumers, push back. When you're not willing to pay that price, they're going to lower the price. He said, if electricity goes out, are you prepared? Oh, yeah. I've got 2 months worth of bottled water and about 300 cans of goods. So we can eat cold canned goods straight out the can for the next 2 months. Who can say that? Katrina victims usually say that. Folks that have had no power for 3 months can say that. Nah, I'm good. I don't need nothing. First few days of a natural disaster, eating everything in the fridge. The rest of it, we're getting everything off the shelf. But you guys got to realize that this knowledge isn't meant to make you feel hopeless. It is meant to arm you, to empower you so that you are able to walk into the grocery store not as a victim, but as a savvy participant who understands the game by checking the unit price, by switching from name brands to store brand, and by planning ahead. You are refusing to play by their rigged rules. You are reclaiming your control. He said, poor doggy gotta eat you. You forgot where we at. I got recipes from Haitians. I will cook my dog before I starve to death. And I keep him fat just in case. I get him a nice fat doggy dance and then let him know that he will be the place center for dinner. He's like, oh, you getting thin. I got to fatten you up. You're going to be dinner. Now, the fight for a fair marketplace is going to be a long one, but it's going to begin with awareness. It's going to start with you, right? And it's going to happen in the aisles. It's going to begin with you making conscious choices, because every purchase is going to be a vote. And every time you choose real value over the deception, you cast that vote for a better system. The ending of this story has yet to be written, and you get to help write it. All depends on how much you're willing to benefit. So, man, I can't believe that threw us all through a loop. He said all the talk about food made me think of BBQ back ribs. Man, I made some boneless spare ribs the other day. And then that's what I was about to make a meatloaf, but then I got tired and I just started making some burgers. And then I made some more, and then I ran out of beef. And I was like, man, this is bullshit. I am not about to go to the store and buy no beef. So I ordered some, get it delivered. But you can buy the ribs and all of the ingredients to make it, and you will find yourself with far more ribs for a cheaper price than if you buy all the sides, prep the meals in bulk. You can actually create multiple plates, like what they give you at the restaurant, like 3 or 4 ribs in your plate. You can do that and make your meals and then have 10, 15, 20 meals for the same price it would have cost to go and buy that at the restaurant. So the one meal at the restaurant could have been made at the house, and now you got leftovers for like 6 weeks. And that's why I tell you guys, y'all got to get Tupperware. Y'all got to cook your food and do portion control and put your food in the containers and put the fruit in the fridge or in the freezer and stack up. That way you have extra meals. And then if you do your food prep right, you can bring that Tupperware to work, use the microwave on the job, or use the microwave at the job. And you will find yourself having the same good food for dinner as your lunch at work. The guys at the job is going to be jealous, thinking that you got some chick at the house cooking for you. You and I both know these females don't do nothing for us. We cook for ourselves. And we eating good on the job. Then when the boss be like, where you get that from? Shit, you ain't selling it. Look, that's what I'm talking about. $2.99 a pound. Buy myself. Look, so it's $2.99 a pound, but you're gonna buy $15 to $20 worth. That's how they're gonna package it. It's $2.99 a pound though. But if you paid $30 for it, you know that you would have went to Chili's, Outback, Applebee's, and you would have paid $30 for the plate of baby back ribs. But if you think of how many ribs would have came on your plate at that restaurant, and you think of how many plates you can make with that one package of you're gonna buy what, 5 pounds and cook that off at the house, you got like 10 plates for the same price, which means that you're probably going to be spending $3 to $5 a plate to eat your baby back ribs at your house instead of spending $25 a plate at the restaurant. So when these females start talking about, I want steak and lobster and ribs, and you start talking about how they're going to cook that in your kitchen, you see what kind of mindset they got. Because she like, sure, I'll cook that shit. Then you got your keeper. You got one that's going to bitch. What you think that I'm in your kitchen today? Yeah, she just fired herself. I know some of the women on the show gonna be like, no, that's sexist. But no, that's real. Because you had no intention of leaving her in the kitchen by herself. You're gonna be in there with her. So if she think anything other than we are about to do this together, she is not a team player. So at the end of the day, y'all can start changing the way y'all date. Instead of a fancy restaurant, less fancy meal at the house with leftovers. That way you can think about me tomorrow. I ain't got to encourage you to go on a second date with me. That food was good, and it lasted us a few days. When you ran out of food, you coming back to see me. We going to go grocery shopping and do it all over again. So, with that being said, since that's all we got for today, but damn, we've been up here for 2.5 hours, so we still ran the rave. He said, don't need a license for crawfishing. You true. I throw it into the river. Oh, yeah. But you can only eat so much crawfish. A lot of women don't know how to cook. But that's what they made easy bake ovens for back in the early 90s. Remember when we was baking better than our sisters when we had those easy bake ovens back in the day? Remember what they used to have all home ec back in the day? And now these women be burning water. They be you give them some rice and the rice all black and shit. You get they don't know how to microwave nothing, you know. And then what we gotta ask, what prize are you bringing to the table? Because the dog can cook better. Men are better cooks than women. It is actually a statistical fact that men are better cooks than women. And actually, in every restaurant in America, there are more men in the kitchen cooking the food and more women outside of the kitchen serving the food and selling the products. You have men and women as bartenders, but you have men as cooks and dishwashers. So think about that for a second. So every time a woman goes to a 5-star restaurant with her man, she knows another man made that. Use that talent for sex. Hey, that's a better trade-off, isn't it? So, I mean, if these ladies really want to be better value, you need to be able to cook better than a restaurant. Because when you really think about it, we both prefer a man to cook for us. Damn. Just want to throw that out there. So, I see you at Void. I see you sticking up the Twitch. And then I see a lot of y'all over here from Twitter. I really appreciate y'all diving in. What we're going to do now, we're going to wrap things up. But before we go, I'm going to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And then, fellas, I give y'all this information to help y'all become higher value men so that you, too, can focus on changing the things in your life that is in your control that you don't like to make your life a little bit better, and then navigate around the things that you can't control. While this is a male-driven podcast, ladies, if you like, take the information that I'm giving everybody else and use that to make yourselves higher value women. It requires you to prioritize your long-term, find out where you want to be in life and what you've got to do to get there, and then proactively put forth the effort to get there. And while you are heading in that direction, if you find a valuable individual that is capable and willing to go down the same path, y'all can go down that path together. which puts you in a position where you can reach your goals a lot quicker. I didn't put it up here on the show quite a few times. You are capable of making $1 million in 10 to 15 years with two people that making $50,000 a year. Y'all don't need $100,000 a year man to get there. One of y'all can be 45 and one of y'all can be 52, and y'all can get there. Just remember to take a breath and laugh at the world. He is right. That is true. That old saying, stop and smell the roses. Stop and smell the roses. That is something that you can do, which is one of the reasons why I was telling Claudia to order groceries instead of going to get them, is because while she likes to socialize, instead of running around a grocery store hunting for stuff, she could spend more time hanging out at the local bingo halls or something like that and socialize with people, having fun instead of struggling, carrying all that stuff through the store and then carrying all that stuff to the house. And then you got to cook everything. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to tonight's show. Thank you for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Everything in between. Man, I've been dealing with some stuttering today. Appreciate y'all for coming to This, That, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting down upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.